House knows our leader, Mr. Prakash,
Not necessarily.
the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Legal Affairs. I would like to welcome every one of you here this morning to this very important press conference. And we are here today because of the recent developments in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago and the recent developments of our image internationally. We are here today to talk on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and our political leader is going to start this press conference. Questions will be allowed after his finished. Thank you, political leader.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, let me thank you for coming out on a Sunday morning to join with us here at Flagship House. As our Deputy Political Leader, Dr. Mahavir, had opened, I think it is about time that Trinidad and Tobago recognizes for all to see the serious situation that we have found ourselves in. For too long, this country has allowed itself to fall victim because of the warm heart and the level of forgiveness that our population has. We are a loving people. Trinidad and Tobago has been made proud by many of our sportsmen, our academics. In fact, we have, for a very small country like this nation, we are punching way above our weight level in terms of the achievements we've had on the world stage. However, Trinidad and Tobago is becoming infamous these days because of the activity of Mr. Jack Warner and several of his cohorts at FIFA. What we are undergoing now as we transition from what was acceptable in the past to something that is new is really a battle for truth in Trinidad and Tobago, a battle for the reputation and character of Trinidad and Tobago, a battle for honesty and for full disclosure. And that is why we in the Congress of the People thought it fit and proper to address the nation, and indeed for all who are listening, to appreciate Trinidad and Tobago is not Jack Warner. He represents something that we have all been fighting to rid ourselves of. The issues of corruption, the issues of abuse of authority and of power, and the abuse of the love that has been given to him in the past by our citizens. It is necessary for us to appreciate that the Congress of the People had taken a view from very early on that Mr. Warner ought not to hold political office. He was an inheritance of the old political order. Having come into government, we had taken a position on him. And when time came when he refused to attend at the Ethics Committee hearing in Switzerland with the issuance of the Simmons report, we thought it fit and proper then that a line had been crossed, that he should no longer sit in cabinet. And the Prime Minister took action on that. What we are seeing today, however, is really Mr. Warner using all that he had gained in the past, that is the loyalty of many in the society, and his ability to become a victim in the eyes, to further his personal interests at the detriment of the interests of Trinidad and Tobago. Today we say to Mr. Warner, if the saying is true that the truth shall set you free, then hasten yourself to your trial. Let Trinidad and Tobago be unburdened by the ridicule that we will face, by the complete ignoring of what is best for Trinidad and Tobago. If you love Trinidad and Tobago, I ask you, go to your trial so that we will hear what the facts are and not what you say they are. And when you go, if you are to enter into any plea arrangements, then we hope that what you shall speak shall be the truth and not further fabrications, as we have had to endure this last several years. This is not a problem of the UNC, of the COP, of the partnership, or even of the PNM, who had held very close embrace of Mr. Warner in the last year, with the highest level of hypocrisy now, putting him back into the embrace of the People's Partnership. Let me just say that this is a problem for all of Trinidad and Tobago, and the solution rests in the heart and in the conscience and in the hand of Mr. Warner, to vindicate us by not absolving himself, by admitting to what he has done, if he has done, because he's entitled to the presumption of innocence like anybody else, but put himself to the trial and let the chips fall where they will. So I thank you, and I'm open to questions. Yes.
So is it that you're saying Mr. Warner should forget about the local process
Absolutely. If it is that Mr. Warner cares about Trinidad and Tobago, then he should go there and have his trial held. Because I'm a lawyer, and I will tell you, for many, many years, the innocent always rush to an early trial. And that if that is the fora upon which we will see what is true and what is not, by cross-examination or otherwise, then I think we all deserve that. So as a patriot, I am asking for him to do so.
How badly do you think the image of this country has been hurt by this incident?
Well, it has been hurt, but how we conduct ourselves from now on will determine how we will be hurt in the long run. As I said, this is a battle for truth, and if Trinidad and Tobago is to have its image repolished, if I may put it like that, so that the true beauty of this nation will be seen and not be identified by the actions of Mr. Warner and those around him, then I think that is why it is so important for us to speak to this day and to ask him to please save the reputation of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes. Yes.
Hi there. Just some details as sort of Justice Minister as well.
Yes.
Can you give us some details of what you know of the details of these transactions, specifically relating to this $10 million in South Africa? If you could just give us some facts that we can report.
Well, as you know, there is, in fact, judicial process in place, and as a Minister of Justice, it will be totally inappropriate for me to speak on matters that may become evidence. So forgive me at this point in time, and I'm sure there'll be other sources that you could call into.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything you can say on that? I mean, you obviously are investigating it, you've been speaking to the Americans, aware of them. If you could just give us some sense of confirming that these transactions happened, it seemed some money went somewhere. If you could just give us some sense of that.
Well, as you might appreciate, these are charges that emanate from the United States, and therefore the conduct of this government is only to ensure that the judicial process for extradition is engaged. The Attorney General has done what he has to do. It is now before our local courts in terms of the extradition, not for the investigation at this point in time, for prosecution here on those charges.
So just in the process, what happens now? How long do you think an extradition process will take? And if Mr. Warner fights it, what's the time frame that he might be looking at?
Well, we have a process here where you go before first court, and then there's the Court of Appeal, and then the Privy Council. So, as you know, some lawyers have unlimited ability to stretch things out. So it could go for an extended period while Trinidad and Tobago suffers, and that is why we are here asking to short-circuit that. At the end of the day, we don't want technicalities, we want truth. And as a lawyer, I could tell you that sometimes the truth pays a heavy, heavy price by the delays that could be put in place. So it could go for a very long period of time.
Can I follow up that question from Robin in a way?
Yes.
I'm David Bowden from Sky News, by the way.
Yes.
Given that this is an American investigation,
Yes.
and given the amount of evidence that is seeping out from various sources about people who live here, are citizens of this country, should you not be conducting your own investigation, setting your own pace here, and whilst not forgetting what the Americans are doing, get hold of Mr. Warner and put him on trial here?
Well, absolutely. In terms of we have a constitution where there's separation of powers. I speak as a Minister of Justice. There is the Commissioner of Police who has that authority, and indeed, there was an investigation engaged some years ago when Bin Hammond had arrived, and in terms of the payment of bribes in Trinidad and Tobago, that investigation is ongoing. So I leave it to the police to do their work. As you know, we in the politics cannot involve ourselves in terms of the prosecution. Quite a different system from the Americans.
So, you are telling us here today, because clearly we don't follow every bit and speak
Yes.
of this from the international media, that there is an investigation ongoing into Jack Warner in this country now, and that this new evidence will be folded into that.
Well, as far as I remember, there was a complaint made to the police commissioner for an investigation into the bringing in of that money for the payment of bribe. That matter, as I know, and we will confirm it with the Commissioner of Police, is ongoing.
That's the Bin Hammond stuff,
Yes.
which is several years old.
Yes.
But surely the police, whether they're in your direct control or anybody else's, must be looking at this new evidence.
Absolutely. And we expect the authorities to take actions as the evidence comes.
But
But
you
forgive
don't
me,
know that.
I cannot now say or disclose to the public any matter that is under investigation or in terms of matters that could end up for prosecution, because we have something called pretrial publicity here and prejudicial evidence, and I do not want today to be in breach of possibility of that. It may lead to certain arguments to delay certain cases.
Mr. Warner is not speaking to the media.
Yes.
You as a fellow parliamentarian presumably bump into him various times. Have you spoken to him? What's he telling you?
Mr. Warner and I, we have a relationship of an indifferent nature. As you may well appreciate now, since 2011, I had called for his removal from the cabinet. And that when he created his own party, I had views on that, about the use of money in the politics. I thought it was a very dangerous development, he having been elected to Shogunas West, having regard to all of the allegations at that point in time. I thought that something had gone wrong with the democracy. It had been disturbed. And the Congress of the People had taken a strong position on that. We do not believe in the use of money for political ends. And that is why we've also made a call, as we negotiate with our colleagues going to the next election, to ensure as a highest priority the issue of campaign and party finance reform. We had started that engagement, and we had a joint select committee, and we've done a lot of work. But the election is upon us. But in the new term, that is something that Trinidad and Tobago must ensure is put in place.
Now you say that lawyers have a habit of dragging things out. Is there anything you as Justice Minister can do here and now to actually speed this up and get the people who are in your control, who do listen to what you're saying, say, look, we need to get on with this now?
There's a commitment by this government to do all things necessary to expedite the judicial process, not only in this matter, but in all matters. And rest assured that we will do what we can, not taking sides in any way, but ensuring that the streams of justice are kept clear. But back to the basics, that Mr. Warner's actions of the past really has polluted the streams of the politics of the nation. And that is why I opened by saying this is a battle for truth, and Trinidad and Tobago's moral fiber is being tested here. As you know, he's quite popular still, and popularity is one thing, but empowering that popularity into politics is a very dangerous event. And we've seen that in the past, and my party and the partnership has taken steps to stamp out corruption. We are the first government to have brought serious procurement legislation into play, and we are fleshing that out as we proceed. And the next stage, as I say, is campaign and party finance reform, so that Mr. Warner and persons of his ilk will be just, in our rearview mirror and not into our future. Yes.
Michael Nicholson, also from CNN.
Yes.
This is not just a story of the last 2 weeks. This is a story going on decades.
Yes.
Do you ever believe that Mr. Warner ever acted in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago? And if not, how do you justify this taking so long to come to a head?
Well, first of all, I will not say that he has not acted in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, but what is being unearthed now, clearly, that there was a serious self-interest in that effort. And I can't say now what proportion of his actions were in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, or that was self-motivated under the cover of the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. So, we can look backwards, yes, but what we do today matters most, and how we go forward, I think, will chart the future of this nation. And we are always about building into the future, learning from the past. Of course, terrible errors have been made in every society, and as I say, Mr. Warner has been an inheritance of the politics of the past. My party, and I'll ask you to do a little bit of inquiry, has come into being to change all of these things. We had started something called a new politics, which is really about new governance, checks and balances to ensure that institutions are empowered to weed out the ills of politics that is everywhere. It's not limited to Trinidad and Tobago, it's everywhere. And it's an ongoing battle.
Are you only getting the attention you're getting now because the rest of the world is suddenly taking it?
No, we have got a lot of attention, but we are grateful because, out of every challenge which this is great opportunity. And the nation itself will have to take responsibility because of the eyes of the world looking at us. And there are other nations we could look at too. But today it's Trinidad and Tobago's turn. And our challenge now is how do we build, how do we strengthen institutions and avoid the pitfalls that we have now, unearthed. Yes.
Mr. Warner has recently been threatening to expose
Yes.
a lot of dirty things. Do you support these sort of revelations, or do you think this is a response?
It is pure gameplay. It's a mind game that he has engaged in for eternity and has succeeded in the past. But my party, I have called out on him on every occasion to ensure that you don't make allegations without facts. Facts matter. Proof and evidence are critical. And that we've seen him do it over and over, and now at the world stage he's doing it again. He must stop this thing. If you have truth, bring it. We are not afraid of it.
Do you support the Prime Minister's walking out?
Well, that is a lady who has tremendous forbearance, and to have seen her rise and leave the parliament will tell you a whole lot about her sense of disgust at what is happening. That he stands in the parliament and questions the integrity of many for a long period of time, when in fact you should have looked there first.
Mr. Ramadhar, that's a segment of my question, as you mentioned, Parliament. Mr. Warner is still an MP. Do you think that in itself is adding to what you would describe as the damaging of our image? He's still sitting in our Parliament.
We have an election close at hand, and I'm sure the constituents of Chaguanas West will deal with that issue. But yes, it is a problem because he stands in the parliament with the authority of the parliament. But that is the democratic process that we have engaged in, and there is no process to remove him unless, of course, he's extradited otherwise.
Do you think he should step down?
I think,
As a member of Parliament?
I have my personal view. If ever I should fall from grace, if I may put it like that, I bring discredit to any institution, I'll be the first to leave, not to bring harm. But that is myself speaking here. I want to hazard to ask Mr. Warner to do the same. But we've seen how he has acted in the past. We can only allow process to take place, and we just wait and see.
Is there no procedure for suspending somebody from the House of Parliament here, as there is certainly in the UK and I assume the other countries, for bringing that organisation into disrepute, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people would deem Mr. Warner's actions, whether he's innocent or not,
Yes.
perhaps do?
Well, as you well appreciate, the presumption of innocence is one level. But you're right, in terms of there is a process before the parliament where your actions are such that the House can take an order to say that you brought us into disrepute and therefore you could be removed. Like we have the leader of the opposition who's been suspended. But there's now the parliament prorogues on the 17th in any event. So there'll be no member of parliament sitting in the parliament after that. So that time alone will take care of that.
But that's, more than a week away. You're trying to shore up Trinidad and Tobago's reputation in the world. Surely that would be one way of showing that something is being done here and now, not just dragging your coat and waiting for the Americans to pull him out of him.
Well, with all due respect, the long and short of it is, there is engaged before the courts the issue of extradition. And there are many other issues. So now that you've raised, that is something we may want to consider, or by the inflection of time itself. But it is important for us all to note that the Prime Minister has spoken on this, I am speaking on this, and the civil society has spoken on this matter in Trinidad and Tobago. So we are taking steps, but we do not interfere with the process of the courts. That is one thing that we are very, very careful of avoiding, and therefore that suggestion is something we may look at, but the time frame is pretty short. I thank you for it.
Mr. Ramadhar, in light of Mr. Warner saying that the government has received funding, campaign financing funding, can you say whether you or anyone in any member of the government has been questioned by U.S. authorities regarding this?
No, and we are open to any inquiry from anyone, the Congress of the people I speak about. I have no knowledge of any receipt of Mr. Warner's funding. Indeed, I could tell you that Mr. Warner had embarked on a process of getting rid of the Congress of the People from very early on. So it would be a little shocking if he helped us financially. I do know he worked with some of our candidates in 2000, including myself, in certain areas. But to say that there was any financial benefit from him, no.
Mr. Ramadhar,
Yes.
C News. Just a couple of questions. Since you've been in the Parliament with Mr. Warner, I think up to Friday at least, have you at any time had a conversation with him, shall we say outside the parliamentary chamber, material, for example, pull them aside and say, listen mate, do the honourable thing, go to New York and hand yourself in, spare yourself, that's one. And the second part is, since all this information keeps coming out in international media, even up to this morning with BBC Revelations, have you had a conversation with the Prime Minister? If so,
But first of all, no, I have not had that discussion with Mr. Warner. And yes, I have had discussion with the Prime Minister. And we have agreed to allow the judicial process to take its course. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much. Yes.
One kind of technical question. Certainly I would like to do a one-to-one interview with you. Is that doable? Can we do that?
Absolutely.